Peace Council is Dr. Ernest Edu-Jemfis. Join us on that. Doc, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you.
So you are the final arbiter in these matters, and I'm using arbiter not necessarily because of legal prowess, but because you are the respected counsel when it comes to conflict between stakeholders in the nation. The NDC and the MPP, or I'm not even going to use the MPP, I'll say the NDC and the Electoral Commission have been at opposite ends on this issue of Ghana card. In the past, the proposal was that let the Ghana card be the sole source document for registering. The NDC opposed it. When it came to it, it went to Parliament, and the decision was that you go with the guarantor system alongside a Ghana card. Now that you have endorsed the Electoral Commission's proposal, the presumption would be that you've already engaged other stakeholders who were opposed to this, no?
No, we had a meeting with the EC today for them to brief us on all the activities they have been engaging in with the registration, voter transfer, and all those things. Now, in their presentation, it turned out that a total of 79,000 people were registered during this process. 63% of that number use the guarantor system, which in our view is not the best for us as a country. If we have that large number of people who can only be identified because somebody says, I know him, or he lives here, or he's my uncle, or whatever, that is not a good process for us. We know that it's late now to have this conversation because the EC's initial proposal was turned down. Parliament has asked that this system be used. But we think that after this election, the country must come together and find a reasonable way of identifying our people. And we think that going the way of using the Ghana card would be the best for us as a country, so that everybody gets it. And the national identification should do the best they can to make sure that everybody gets this. And then it will solve the problem. It will solve the problem of fighting at police registration centers and all of those things, because people cannot easily be identified. We think that immediately after the election, this conversation must take place so that we resolve this problem once and for all. For now, it's late. So if one pushes for this, we're going to create more problems for us as a country.
So should it be understood then to mean that your endorsement is to the extent that more stakeholder consultations are held, or you have endorsed this and nothing will change your minds?
No, more conversation must be held. Now, since Parliament has a position, the EC has a position, the parties have a position, we think that we all need to come to the table to discuss some of these issues. The same thing happened when we were talking about some of the electoral reforms. When we met the judiciary, the parties and all of that, we agreed on certain things. But we said that, look, these things will not take place as far as this particular election is concerned because there's too much mistrust. But immediately after this election, there's a need for us to come back to that kind of conversation and ensure that we put all these things in place. So by 2028, Ghana doesn't not go through this whole process again.
Very well. That would also be dependent on what comes from the National Identification Authority. Would you be having further conversations with them to ensure 100% penetration before we possibly consider it to be the sole document?
I think it's a conversation that all of us must engage in, not only for the National Identification Authority. The government must provide the funding so that we get all these things done. I studied in the U.S. For a while. In the States, they don't have a system of this is time for voter registration. You get to a certain age, you go to DMV, which is the equivalent of DVLA. That is where registrations are done. Because the systems are there, data is there. Why do you have to go around this whole thing of somebody might turn 18 a week before the election? The person can't vote because the registration period is past. But can't we have a system where as soon as you turn 18, you are able to register and vote because the systems are there? That is where we have to get to as a country. And I think that these conversations will be better held after the election, because right now there's too much mistrust and nobody trusts each other. If you bring in anything now, there will be chaos. But we think that immediately after the election, we must have that conversation. Give ourselves the first year, second year. By the third year, we should be clear. And by 2028 election, everybody should know exactly where we're going.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, sir.
You're welcome.
That's the chairman of the National Peace Council, Dr. Ernest Edu Gyamfi, speaking.